4 new attractions here at DCA. That's a big deal. That's more than Disney puts into a new land. And we're gonna talk about those 4 new attractions and what it means compared to what's happening at Disneyland. This, as we explore the entire park, which is dead again this week, I would be the 8th person in the queue at Emotional Whirlwind. This is our State of DCA report. This is Fresh Baked. All right, let's get this best hour you could spend covering Disney parks right here at DCA with Vibe Check down Buena Vista Street. At 11:21 in the morning on a Monday morning, it is presently 81 degrees out, so the temperatures have dropped a little bit. I did a report this time last year. I keep doing this, I keep going back to last year, but I think it was this time last year, maybe it was next week. It was 104, I believe. So we're getting quite a discount on the heat, so hopefully it won't be as oppressive as it was that day. That was a very difficult day to shoot, I don't mind saying. Buena Vista Street, as we make our way down, is looking a little clean, a little light. When I was shooting B-roll earlier, it felt a little bit more busy, but this is quite nice. Actually, let's just sort of take a 360. I mean, not bad, right? It's a Monday again. We're looking at a tier 1 day. I think it's $124 today, so a very affordable day, relatively speaking, to be at DCA. Relatively speaking. I have often remarked about the fallacy that exists with pricing here at the Disneyland Resort vis-a-vis DCA versus Disneyland, and I call this day affordable, but it's the same price at Disneyland where you're getting twice the show, maybe 3 times the show. But one thing that we're going to be talking about hopefully a little bit today is what's coming to DCA, and it's sort of in progress. It's sort of on the way a little bit now as we speak, but DCA needs a lot more to do for that price point. I believe that it's absolutely criminal that Disney charges the same to enter DCA as it does to enter Disneyland. They are the same price for a single day ticket. I don't understand how that's even remotely logical, but you know, I'm not here to figure that out. As a matter of fact, I'm almost afraid to say it because the answer to that question could more likely be, no, let's not grow DCA, let's charge more for Disneyland. So I'm just gonna shut up about that now, but go ahead and plant that seed in your mind. Why is it, how is it that Disney can do that? And hopefully, you know, in the next couple of years, we will have a solution for that question. But for today, we are on Hollywood Boulevard during the Halloween season. You can see your purple banners up there. There is the Headless Horseman, just an iconic element to the Halloween season now. I'm so grateful that they have this, and he also does appear, obviously, during the Halloween parade, which is great. That started at Disneyland for the Halloween parade that they did there. Hi guys, morning. Halloween does bring more crowds to DCA than it does Disneyland in terms, you know, again, relatively speaking. And what we're finding here on Hollywood Boulevard is, you know what, it's actually kind of, I'm almost on the border of saying this is a normal busy day. The last few weeks have been incredibly light when we do these reports. I'm talking about the last two State of DC reports and the last 2 State of Disney reports. Hi guys, how are you? That's 4 weeks straight that has been just absolutely slow, dead here pre-Halloween time, you know, pre-5 o'clock or so. It even extended into the evening on our last trip at State of Disneyland. And it's kind of funny because I was, you know, I said in that video, watch everybody tell me all the reasons why it should be slow. And I get it, I said it's supposed to be slow. It's just slower than it's supposed to be. It's slow for slow. You know, it's supposed to be slow, but it was slower even than that, comparing it to last year. And you know, people were saying, David, the kids are, you know, back in school. And I said in that video, people are going to tell me the kids are back in school. They were also back in school last year. They're back in school this week also. So we're gonna, if it's busy today, busier than it was last week, which I almost am positive that's going to be the case, then what? Can you say still that it's the schools? Because they're just as in school this week as they were last week. The heat was also brought up, and I have been needing to remind folks that it was hotter this time last year than it is this year by, just like I said, by about 20 degrees at times. Yeah, that one. That was published on September 9th. Today is, as I record this, September 8th. So it was this week. It was actually yesterday, relatively speaking, in terms of the calendar. Today is the 8th. It's the same Monday. It was 104 that day, and you could see it. Well, it doesn't show up in the video per se, but man, it was brutal. So we're getting a 23-degree discount here at DCA today. Let's find out how busy it is. Let's start at Mike and Sully's To the Rescue in what is a fairly quiet Hollywood Backlot. Still pretty chill. And I'm looking at a 30-minute posted standby here. 30 minutes. I'll take that. Now, I will say that video that we shot, that State of DCA report that we shot last year, the park was absolutely dead. But that you could clearly say was due to the heat. It was very obvious that people did not want to be in the parks that day. It was absolutely dead on that 104-degree day. Today is not the case. But Monsters, Inc. is actually still pretty quiet. We're using, well, not all of the queue. It looks like we're not using the last planter and a half. Those two switchbacks back there are open, and that one. So just a planter and a half today being used. That's a discount for Monsters, Inc. And I would agree with the posted wait time. That is about 30 minutes, but it's an actual 30 minutes, whereas the expectation typically is that they're going to be off by a few 5 or 10 minutes or so. I feel like that is a literal 30 minutes, and the lightning lane is starting to back up a little bit over there. You can kind of see that starting to collect some guests. So that 30 minutes is probably going to get bumped up if we have a minute, because I'm hoping to eat soon. If we have a minute, I might pop my head back in here just to see, or maybe we'll look at the tip board. But okay, so far not too bad. It's a little bit, it's a little bit in the middle ground, I should say. Now, while we're here, actually, let's take a minute to address that topic that I started off the show with, in terms of what's coming. Everything that you see in frame as I look around right now is all subject to destruction. The Hollywood Lounge. Hi guys, hello. I should say also stage, I always forget what number that is, stage 12? Okay, stage 12, Monsters, Inc.
I love pickles.
And stage 17. Everything in your frame right there is subject to destruction. All of this is going to get torn down in the next year or so. This one is staying. Muppets, or what is now Philhar Magic, that building is staying. But everything else that we just saw, those 3 buildings are getting torn down. Well, 4 actually, if you count the Hollywood Lounge. That's going down. They're going to start building Avatar here. The Avatar experience. They're doing everything that they can to not call it Avatar Land, and I don't know why. They're being very careful about using certain descriptive words along with Avatar. They're not calling it Pandora either. They're calling it initially they called it the Avatar experience. The timeline for that is what? They're gonna close Monsters, Inc. by the end of the year, which means they're gonna be gutting the interiors of that building for a while. They're probably gonna take all those props out and reuse them, repurpose them for something. I mean, everything that's in there was already repurposed from the limo ride. So they're gonna try to recycle as much of that as possible. So it's gonna take a few months for them to do that. Then we might start seeing demo. I'm gonna say probably middle of the year next year, middle 2026. It's one of those things that we observe every time there's a construction project happening. The demo and dirt phase are always the longest, most boringest thing. It takes forever for them to get through it, but it does take a while. It's gonna take a while for them to tear these buildings down because there's a lot of work that has to be done. But there's this, and also on the other side of this, on the other side of these buildings are the transportation hub, where the buses drop people off. That's gonna get updated as well. And then beyond that, they're gonna build a new entrance to Disneyland from the new Eastern Gateway parking hub. Here goes the monorail. This, by the way, let's just go ahead and say, it is my understanding that the monorail will not be affected. They will be able to work around that, both in the demo phase and in the building phase. They're going to be able to work around that track, and the monorail will be able to keep operating while they do all of this. which I'm hoping, of my greatest possible hopes, that does remain the case, because the views of the backlot here are going to be exceptional. When everything is torn down, we're going to be able to see everything down to the dirt. Assuming they keep running it. I mean, I know that they want to kind of keep it under wraps a little bit, but they also don't want to close the monorail, do they? No, they don't. Anyway, so that sort of, we're getting at least one attraction here at Avatar, and that's going to answer, and that capacity will absolutely beat the capacity they have here. They have just Monsters Inc. That's the only ride here. I mean, you have the show, Muppets, PhilharMagic. I wish it was the Muppets. They have that, but that actually is not going away. So they're going to keep that capacity. So the only capacity they have to replace is Monsters Inc., which is okay. But Avatar, obviously, the whole land itself is going to occupy a whole bunch of people, plus whatever else they can fit in that attraction. So this is an absolute plus, an absolute win for Disney fans in terms of getting more value for your today's price of $124. I should add, by the way, that everything behind those three buildings that I just showed, everything on this side of the Hollywood Backlot and Hollywood Boulevard, as I understand it, will remain. I don't know if it's going to look exactly. It would be really stupid for them to keep this, though. I have to say, this is completely pointless. I mean, maybe they retheme it or something like that, because I don't know how you keep both those things together, but somehow they're going to do it. Maybe it's just Hollywood Boulevard. Maybe they find a way to demo this and rebuild it and put a new stage in here or something that's a little bit more in sync with what's happening here. Although I suppose they could, if they don't, they would have to construct some sort of visual barrier that separates Pandora from Hollywood, which could possibly beg the question for some of you, how in the heck are they going to do that? How in the heck are they going to blend Pandora in here in the middle of the Hollywood Backlot, in the middle of Hollywood land? The answer to that is portals. Just like they're doing at Epic Universe, where you're just walking down, in the middle of the park, and you go through a hole in the thing, and all of a sudden you're in Darkmoor. They're going to do something like that, and I think that entrance is going to be probably this stage back here, stage 17. They're probably going to do it from, you make a left when you come down Hollywood or Buena Vista Street. You'll make a left at that point, and then they'll transport you to another time and place, and then, so they have to close it all off and then reveal it again when you get into this space, which means they would have to do something. Hi guys. They would have to do something similar to this side of things. It's all blue sky at this point. We don't know, but we're going to be watching, and I hope they do figure out some way to do that, because that bothers me to no end. How in the heck are they going to make these two things exist in the same space? So that is the Hollywood Backlot. Let's keep moving. One thing I'm grateful for, thinking back to that 104-degree day, is I discovered electrolytes. I discovered that liquid IV stuff. Have you guys seen this? I have it. I keep it in my bag now. I just recharged. I just filled up my bottle here with, this is what I carry. I carry this with me. I use it every time I come here. I go through probably 4 or 5 refills of this every day. And those electrolytes actually work, you guys. It's really, really cool. I'm so glad that I found that, because I wish I had that last year when it was 104 degrees. There's a link in the description if you guys want to try it out. But I do highly recommend that. Cheers, Fresh Baked. It took me a little while to get used to the taste, and now I miss it. Now I prefer this to regular water. Let's keep this conversation going. We're heading next to Avengers Campus. I don't even know where I'm going. Let me add, though, before we get there, that the Hyperion Theater, the Hyperion Theater is not subject to demo. It's not included, as far as I know, as part of the demo, as part of the update to Pandora. As a matter of fact, this won't even be Pandora. This space we're in right now is going to stay Hollywood monorail. But we know that they're not going to get rid of it, but we also don't know what they're doing with it in that time frame. We talk about that from time to time. But it is still a total mystery what their plans are for this building, considering that they aren't going to. I mean, it makes sense. You should. I feel like it would make sense to sort of build this space into the Avatar space, because it's right now we only know of the one attraction, and it's going to be, as best as I can tell, something like the Pirates ride in Shanghai, which sounds awesome, by the way. That Pirates ride in Shanghai is pretty impressive. But I feel like there could be space. That concept art does suggest that there could be space for a second attraction. There are 2 giant mountains in that concept art, and you could fit a dark ride perhaps in one of those. And well, there's going to be one of those giant mountains is queue. One of those giant mountains is queue space for that boat ride. But what's the other mountain for? I don't know. Hopefully it's not the dark ride portion of the Pirates ride. Hopefully they have space. I feel like it would be significantly better for that space to have 2 rides, but that could account for why they're not trying to call it a land, because is a land with 1 ride really a land? I don't know, you just gotta have 2, right? At least 2, but that's how it is today. They can't build small things. They literally can't. The fact that Pandora I'm gonna go off a tangent. The fact that Pandora even has 2 rides now, the one in Animal Kingdom in Florida, is a gift. They had planned for just 1. Navi River Journey was not supposed to be built, but they discovered they had more space than they thought they would, so they added a 2nd ride. Same thing for Avengers Campus, where they're building Avengers Infinity Defense. They thought they were gonna have space for just that. They had a little bit more space than they thought they would, so they're adding Tony Stark Flight Lab. That's a gift, that's a plus. Hopefully they can do the same thing at Avatar, because it would be significantly better if we can get a 2nd ride there. And that brings us at 11:50 to Mission Breakout, where we were here on Friday and we observed that all 3 elevators were again working. I'll talk about that in a minute, but let's just take a look. We'll do our recon first. Stay tuned. I have an idea why that is the case, why they are still running 3 instead of 2. That's a posted 35 minutes. Wow, you know what? I'm just gonna go in there. 35, you guys. How about that? Not too busy. We got a little bit of lightning lane though here. That's a good sized lightning lane queue for this time, and for a 35-minute queue, which means we probably won't find much in standby, and all we're seeing is just this 1 switchback right here. This is it, pretty much. It's curling around a little bit, but they're not using anything back there. They're not using any of that. That's fantastic. That's quite a discount for these guests. For those of you, hi guys, for those park science aficionados out there, that is a go situation. We are calling that a go situation. Anytime you see that kind of standby, it doesn't really matter what lightning lane looks like, that's a gift right there. That is an absolute go. And people are taking that. I'm passing by a bunch of people right now. They're all going in. This queue is about ready to pop, which reminds me, I want to go check in on Monsters Inc. real quick. Posted wait time actually went down to 25 minutes. I thought it would go up based on what we were seeing in lightning lane there, and it's still about the same situation. So we'll just check and see how many planters are being used. And it looks like, oh man, they have cleared a bunch of this. That's incredible. That is way impressive that they managed to do this. Is it getting less busy? Now they're 1, 2, 3 full planters are open. Wow. Another go situation here at DCA. We're 2 for 2. Monsters Inc. and Mission Breakout. Let's get back over there and finish that discussion about what I think is the logic behind why they're not continuing the refurb of all those elevators. Many months ago, my early intel suggested or told me that they were going to be doing all 3 elevators. They went through a cycle of replacing the interiors or updating the interiors, and then they're going to update the actual mechanics of the elevator, you know, that lets you drop, etc. And that Bravo was the 2nd of 3, and that Charlie was going to be next, but it has not happened yet. For a couple weeks now, they've been running all 3. I initially thought they were going to close Charlie as soon as they finished Bravo, but I think the reason why they're not is because they're going to wait until the Halloween season is over and Christmas probably. They want to make sure, because this is a very popular attraction in season and out, but especially during the Halloween season when they have Monsters After Dark. That is a very popular attraction. It's probably more popular than regular Mission Breakout is. So they want to make sure they have full capacity for those. I mean, they're operational. They just want to give them some more love. It's not like they're broken. They're just trying to keep them up to date, make sure that they're, you know, in their best working condition. And that's, again, something that we've talked about in the past about how people complain that things get closed at Disneyland, but I see it as a good thing. I see it as Disney paying attention and taking care of their park, taking care of their attractions to make sure that they are up, you know, both safe but reliable, right? So if it means they have to close them for a little while, that's good. If it's better for us as the guests to make sure that they are safe and reliable. So my guess is that they're going to close Charlie, unless it's done already. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think it is. They're going to close Charlie probably in January. Let's go further into Avengers Campus, where this is a pretty decent crowd right here. I'm liking this. This is good. And speaking of expansion and what they're doing over there at the Hollywood Backlot and Avatar, obviously you guys all know they're adding 2 more attractions here. So we're looking at least 3 now new attractions at this point, all going to be built in sort of roughly the same time frame, and they're a long way from starting. But they'll probably have this one done or close to it, and then they'll start building the Avatar attraction, hopefully 2, as I mentioned. And at the same time, they're going to be building another one, which we'll get to. But look at that progress there. My goodness. You can see where we were here 2 weeks ago, there was just that structure there that they were building, but they brought it forward. And now there's another building coming out towards the Avengers headquarters. So they're still adding square footage to this building. It's moving along at a very rapid pace. Disney used to get a lot of grief about how slowly it seemed that they were building things, and sometimes they do, but they have a different standard, a different method of operation than other parks do. But this one does seem to be getting the green light. It does seem to be getting the fast track service. But so yeah, you've got at least 1 attraction at Avatar in Pandora or in the Backlot, maybe 2 if we're lucky. 2 at least. I mean, we're getting 2 here, that's for sure. So that's 3 new attractions. The amount of capacity that's going to add to this park is incredible, because that's additional, that's new, that's where there was no capacity before. So it's going to be, they're going to be able to sell thousands and thousands of tickets, additional tickets. And we've had this conversation in the past before about how many, this is a net win dollar-wise for Disney, because how many tickets they can sell is based on its aggregate of all the capacity, every attraction, every restaurant, every gift shop, every open space. A figure, a number is attributed to all of those. You can fit X number of guests in each of those spaces. You can fit 500 people in the ride itself. You can fit another 500 people in the queue. You can fit 500 people in the common area. You could fit 100 people in the gift shop, that kind of thing. You just add all that up, and that's how many tickets you can sell. You can sell 1 ticket for each one of those guests. So they're adding brand new square footage to the space, which means it's going to be brand new revenue, brand new income for them. It's going to cost them, $5-6 billion or whatever. I wonder how long it would take for them to get into the black on that math. Figure that the expense, and then how many more tickets, how long do they have to sell those extra 3,000 or 4,000 tickets to get to that break-even point, I wonder. But it's definitely a thing. Avengers Campus is getting bigger. And now it is 12:09. I'm going to take a quick stop in Pim Test Kitchen. We've been trying a lot of their food lately. We tried the nachos our last visit. They were not very good, actually. Pardon me. But that is a busy crowd in here as well. So this is definitely busier than we saw 2 weeks ago, for sure. This little measurable, that's 30, 40 guests in the queue there. Wow. I'm going to take a break, fill up my water here. Cheers, Fresh Baked. Let's go to Web Slingers next. Looks like we're getting another discount. I can see from here that it's a 25-minute posted wait time right now. My eyes are agreeing with that. They are turning right at the blue bullpen back there. They are turning right, but this is completely empty. And it looks really loose, actually. So I would say that's probably not even full. As a matter of fact, I think it's loose enough that we can walk back there this time. It is often the case that I can't do this because this part of the queue is filled with guests. Oh, no, it is full. Okay, so we can't get all the way in there. You guys can go ahead, it's fine. It's not completely full though. I mean, it is sort of, the back of the queue is right here, but you can see a lot of gaps. They haven't compressed fully, so this is a new situation. It's just now starting to fill up. That's probably because that 25 minutes is a classic call to action. A call to action meaning something that a guest sees, let's say on a tip board, or they visually see with their eyes as they walk by, that says we need to do something. We need to either get in that queue or stay away from that queue. Hi guys. You might see a wait time of 90 minutes at Indiana Jones. That's a call to action to stay away. You might see that the Indiana Jones is broken down or has just recently reopened. That's a call to action to run as quickly as you can to get to that queue. 25 minutes for Web Slingers is a call to action, I think, to get in the queue. And it's especially good when you have an empty Lightning Lane queue like this. That's great. That means that's why you're seeing so much movement, by the way, because that's empty. Because the lightning lane is empty, you're seeing all this movement in the queue right now for web slingers. If they were busy there at lightning lane, you see all these guests kind of parked and huddled together. That's why there's the gaps that we saw back there in the blue bullpen, because standby is constantly getting pushed into the queue, into the building. The next time I do a compilation of how to hack a queue tips, that's going to be something that I put a lot of focus on, because it's one of the most understood, underrepresented, underutilized tips. Look at the actual pace, look at the actual density of the queue itself. Are they squished together or are they spread apart? Is there gaps? Are people walking? If you can see gaps in the queue, that's a really good sign. A good sign, that is, to get in the queue and enjoy yourself. You're about to get a discount. And that wraps up Avengers Campus. You know, I think it's about time. It is, as I mentioned, lunchtime about, right? It's 12:16. The temperature has gone up to 84 degrees. It's 12:16. Let's take a break and go eat some lunch at Smoke Jumper's Grill, where we'll be enjoying this double cheeseburger. That's what it's called, double cheeseburger. That's 2 Angus beef patties, cheddar, lettuce, tomato, pickles, grilled onion, and SJG, that'll be Smoke Jumper's Grill burger sauce, which I'm assuming is Thousand Island or, secret sauce basically. And it's served with crinkle cut fries, which we're gonna get into in a minute because I have something to say about that. It looks like a mess, but it's usually, the burgers here are usually always very good. Although I've never actually had this basic double cheeseburger. But that first bite was pretty satisfying, I'll have to say. I was a little concerned because the very first thing I noted when I picked up the sandwich to shoot the B-roll, etc., was that the bun, particularly the top bun, was a little compressed, a little flat, looked like a heel. It was also a little cold. I'm hoping that, they just, maybe it was sitting out for a little bit too long, but the burger itself is I wouldn't call it hot, but it's definitely warm enough to enjoy. Now, fun fact, they don't sell a single. You can only get the double. They have 3 different kinds. They have the basic double cheeseburger, they have an impossible double cheeseburger, which I've never tried, and then the bacon chipotle, which I've also never tried. So I would have opted for a single because I usually can't eat a double, but so far we're getting some work done. But there you can see those two. They're smaller patties. It's like Big Mac style sized, I should say. And there goes my pickle. But all in all, not a disappointing burger, which maybe is one of the good things I can say about it. It's not great. It's not, they haven't broken any new ground here. It is a basic double cheeseburger. I keep losing pieces. Cheese, pickles, onions, and a secret sauce. And it's pretty tasty, warm enough to enjoy. Now, I mentioned that I have something to say about the fries, and that is I really, really enjoy, Smoke Jumper has probably the best fries in the entire park, mainly because they're not those McDonald's style fries, the simple straight cut fries that are just, they just suck. I can't eat those fries. I do love a crinkle cut fry, which is the best way to enjoy a French fry. Crinkle cut are the best. That is really good French fry. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it is. It's just true. I'm not even gonna argue about it. The bummer is that you have to choose between that and onion rings, which are also outstanding here. And it made me angry because it asked me, what side do you want? You want some fries? You want some rings? And I wanted to choose rings because they're great. But I'm like, I also love the crinkle. It's quite a dilemma. Altogether, this meal is a solid 3.5 out of 5. I mean, it's, like I said, it's nothing earth-shattering. It's pretty standard stuff. Basic double cheese. They didn't ruin it. It doesn't suck, which is great. Giving this a 3.5 out of 5. Come to Smoke Jumper's Grill for some of the better cheeseburger types. And like I said, I still got to try that Chipotle barbecue double cheeseburger. It looks good. The picture looks really, really good. But as an everyman, you know, who I just don't want to be disappointed. That's basically my starting point. I'm not looking for anything to be fantastic. I know we're at a theme park, and you know, what are they going to do? It is what it is. That's why so many of my reviews are like, it tastes like it's supposed to. Great, thank you. Tastes like it's supposed to. Cheers, Fresh Bake. Get back to work. And that means Cars Land. Cars Land is next. Stay tuned, by the way, because we will be heading over to Pixar Pier later on in this episode to talk about another attraction that is on its way to DCA. And that's actually the one that I'm personally most excited about. I can't wait till we see what is going to happen there at Pixar Pier. And for now, we'll check in on, oh my gosh, it's 5 minutes. Look at that. Oh my gosh, you guys, seriously. Okay, that does say 5, which you can't get any lower. There's nobody in the queue. Is Fresh Bake gonna have to go on Mater's Junkyard Jamboree? I know I should probably figure some other rides out, figure out some other rides to go on, but how can I say no? Look at this. I'm going to be on the next rotation. Wow. I mean, seriously, how am I supposed to say no to a minute or two to get on Mater's Junkyard Jamboree? You can't say no. Now, we're talking about DCA expansion, and I know that some folks are going to say, well, what about Disneyland? It's a good question. The problem with Disneyland, well, actually it's not a problem for me, because I think Disneyland is just fine the way it is. I would be fine if they didn't change a single thing, ever. It's great the way it is. But the problem with Disneyland is that it's so narrow and so compact, and they've already optimized all that space. Now, they've already optimized all that space. They have done as much as they can without square footage. You can't build anything new. There's no more place to put an attraction. There's no new space. Like they did at Avengers Campus, and I'm trying really hard to stay still, like they did at Avengers Campus, and like they're doing at, or gonna do at Coco. They're gonna put Coco in a place there was no other ride. Avatar is actually going into space where there was nothing more. They're replacing monsters, but they're pushing it out. They're creating more space for that space that wasn't parked before. You cannot, they've done it. They've done everything that they can at Disneyland with Galaxy's Edge. That's the limit. There is talk. There's Disneyland Forward, obviously, and growing that out into the space that is currently occupied by the downtown Disney parking lot, right? But that's years away. And actually, I'd be fine if they actually gave that to DCA also. DCA is just way too small. But what we've seen, the concept art that we've seen for Disneyland Forward suggests Disneyland's going to expand into the downtown Disney parking lot, or the cast member parking lot where the Disneyland Hotel is. Years and years away. As a matter of fact, that's going to be second lineup. They're gonna expand into the Simba lot first, is my opinion. But in the park proper, there's no more square footage left to expand into. None. You could take out rides and replace them, but the problem with that is that, as I mentioned, it's already optimized. It's already completely optimized. They have crammed so many attractions into the space that they have, and the way that the modern building codes are today, you couldn't take something out and replace it with something else without consuming, like if you wanted to do something in Fantasyland, for example, if you wanted to replace those dark rides with something new, it would take all of it. It would take all of it. If you want to, do you know how many guests Autopia consumes? It is one of the highest occupancy attractions, one of the highest throughput attractions in the park. Autopia, even though it's big, it's not a waste. It's not a waste of space when it comes to guest capacity, and that is the only thing that matters. Guest capacity is the absolute driving factor, the driving variable in every decision that Disney makes. Guest capacity equals ticket sales. And if Autopia is already generating so many ticket sales because you can fit so many guests in there, they're going to keep doing that. They're not going to replace that with Tron, because Tron would consume half the guests that Autopia could. And I mean, that's a guess, but I don't think I'm very far off if I'm not right. I mean, it's probably close on that. I'm probably being a little bit hyperbolic, but I can say with confidence that Autopia can hold more guests per hour, it can process more guests per hour than Tron, which, you know, I mean, that's the bottom line, isn't it? We're checking in on the Cozy Cones right now just to see how busy it is, and it's doing okay. It's actually a decent sized amount of guests there in the ordering stations and lining up to the queues. Not quite as busy as we've seen in the past, but busy enough, I think. Now, having said that though, Autopia versus Tron, we're just using that as an example. That doesn't account for the monorail. If you want to build Tron, now this makes it even worse. If you want to build Tron, it's going to cost you Nemo and the monorail also. So now it's not even a discussion at this point when it comes to guest capacity. It's not even a discussion. Those two things, if you can't take Autopia out, even if you could find a way to make the monorail work, you can't take Autopia out without destroying the Nemo ride. They are symbiotic. They go together. Taking out one will cost you the other, and that's an absolute fact. Stop into Flows. It is 1:09, and there is not a single person. Wow. I don't think I've ever seen this before. That is a first. Not a single person is in the standby right now to get food at Flo's V8 Cafe. Incredible. Which brings us actually, to Radiator Springs Racers, which you can watch while you're having your meal at Flo's. And it's been under refurb now for going on, this is now the third week, I think, and I think we've got one more week to go after that. 4 weeks total. I'm just gonna keep walking over here. I will show you actually I can't show you the ride. There's nothing to show you. There's no analysis. I was gonna, hey, let's go sing a rider on Radiator Springs Racers. Can't do that. In my head, I was saying that, but obviously the attraction is closed, but this was full of scaffold last week. This week, you can see the new track up ahead. They have replaced that surface. Look at this is kind of neat because I don't think I've ever really paid attention to this, how absolute horizontal that track gets when you make that turn, when you do your drift around this, you know, I forget what they call this, the butte, but it's really cool. You can see the all new track there. And this was something that I forgot to point this out. Hi guys, hi. I forgot to point out in a construction video, but I saw holes and I was waiting for them to maybe fix that up. But this track that he's on now is old track. I don't think they replaced that. And you can see right here, actually, let me see if I can get in there. You can see where the track changes. Old or new track to old track right there. All right. I'm not sure if this track has been replaced since they reopened, and I'm not positive on that, so I'm not sure if they're going to be doing that, if that's still left to go, because we still have, like I said, another 10 days or so at least on this update. A lot of crew out there today, though. They can't make small rides anymore. They can't make Mr. Toads. They could not build Mr. Toads in the same size and the same scale as they did back in 1955. It is impossible. Can't be done. They can't build. Like, just look at aerials. Aerials is how they would build Toads today. It would be that size if they tried to do that again today. It's probably why you don't see them building dark rides anymore. You know, and it's why it's incredible how much capacity. It looks like, you know, Toads doesn't use very much, but you add up Toads, Snow White, Peter Pan, and Pinocchio, you add those 4 rides up. You have to add Alice, actually, because Alice is literally symbiotic and connected to Toads as well. It's another one of those. You can't destroy one without the other. If you tried to replace any of those small dark rides with something new, it would cost you all of those, in my opinion. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm pretty sure. Simply because the buildings have to be too big. And so Disneyland cannot be expanded. I guess that's the final point that I'm trying to make. You cannot expand Disneyland. And you can't even replace Disneyland. And that's why I think that Disneyland is safe from the same thing like that's happening at Magic Kingdom with the river and all that. I don't think they can do I don't think they can do anything. They're stuck. But that's good. That's the way I like it. I miss going into the queue for Luigi as we came all the way down here, but I could see in the distance there, there's nobody in this queue either. That's a straight, well, it's a one rotation deal. I can see guests over there at the, where those umbrellas are. They'll be in the next rotation. So that's all you have to wait, is that one rotation. It's dead here in Cars Land. We got one more attraction to talk about. That's happening at Pixar Pier, but for now, we're gonna head back down the backside of Flo's and Radiator Springs Racers, head to San Francisco, check in on the waits that are happening at Cocina Cucamonga, etc. Feels quiet. Feels quiet here. Nobody waiting for the next Baymax meet and greet. A little bit of a queue developing there at Cocina Cucamonga. That's more than I would have expected, considering we just walked by Flo's that had 0. That's healthy, but then again, Cocina is always very healthy. Still trying to understand. I mean, I know it's probably the birria, but there's got to be more to it than that. Got to be, right? It can't just be the birria. Nobody waiting for a margarita here at Rita's Turbine Blenders. A little bit of a queue here at Lucky Fortune Cookery. That's actually kind of healthy. It's got to be the fact that Radiator Springs Racers is closed, right? It's got to be that because Radiator Springs Racers is closed, there's no reason for guests to go down that part of Cars Land. I mean, Luigi's and Mater's, right? That's why Mater's was a total walk-on, pardon me, because people are just skipping Cars Land altogether. There are people who skip DCA. I asked that question 2 weeks ago and I got some responses. Yes, I canceled my trip to DCA because Radiator Springs Racers is closed. They're not going to come to the park at all, not until DCA is open. Minimal wait here at Ancast Cafe. So I guess this is more closer to what the park is than Cars Land. I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? But there are still lots of tables open. That's an identifier right here. Table. I would have no trouble sitting there and eating. Nope. Tables here, table there, table over here. Tables open everywhere. And that takes us to the San Francisco Bridge. Awesome. You guys know what that means? Haha. It's my favorite part of the journey. The bridge, that is. But at the other end of this is a look at the tip board. We're going to see how slow it is in the park right now. I've got my guesses. I think it's dead as disco. Let's go find out. All right, at 1:23 p.m. in the afternoon on this Monday, let's take a look at that tip board. Golden Zephyr is closed. Do I have this set correctly? Yes, I do. Okay, Golden Zephyr is closed. Confirmed with my eyeballs. Goofy Sky School, 25 minutes. Less than standard. Anything remotely resembling a busy day should have a return time of 40 minutes or so at Goofy Sky School. Return time in just 15 minutes. Grizzly River Run, it is hot today. It is 84 degrees, I think, as I record this, 84. Grizzly River Run, less than standard. It should be busier than that. Return time of just a half an hour. Guardians of the Galaxy is 15 minutes now. We know why that is. It's because they have stopped doing Lightning Lane, and they're getting ready to transition that over to Monsters After Dark. So people are choosing not to ride right now. They're going to wait for Monsters After Dark. You could do both, but I would say there's a certain amount of guests that are choosing to wait for Monsters instead of trying to do it now. So there you can see Guardians of the Galaxy has a return time of 5:35 right now, 4 hours. That's actually light. Normally those could be sold out by now. And what? Is Fresh Baked gonna have to ride Incredicoaster today? 5 minutes? Come on. How is Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind having a longer standby wait time than Incredicoaster? I am befuddled. Wow. Okay, Jesse's is 5, Jumpin' Jellyfish 10, Little Mermaid 15, Luigi's 10, Creators 5. Golly, Monsters 45. What is it about Monsters Inc? I swear, that's so fascinating. Pixar Pal around 20 minutes. Redwood is open. Silly Symphony Swings 5. Soarin' at 15. Incredible. It's a hot day. People should be going into Soarin'. 15 minutes for Soarin', and then 45 for Toy Story. Oh, we got one more. That's actually kind of normal. Return time of just an hour, though, is not. It should be many, many hours. People are not buying Lightning Lane today, and why should you? This is why, by the way, I'm going to hold that thought, but this is why I say don't buy Lightning Lane if you're pre-ordering your tickets. And then Web Slingers is at 25 minutes. It is super ultra rare for Lightning Lane passes to sell out, especially off season like today. They might sell out maybe during December or something like that, but there's no reason. They'll try to sell it to you. They'll try to sell you parking when you buy your ticket, and they'll try to sell you Lightning Lane when you buy your ticket online through the website. You don't have to do either. You can pay for your parking when you show up, and you could buy Lightning Lane when you get to the park. There's nothing, you can't use it early anyway, like you can at Walt Disney World. Buy your Lightning Lane early at Walt Disney World, because you can start making reservations 60 days in advance, I think. You cannot do that here at Disneyland. You can only make reservations at Disneyland with your Lightning Lane once you scan into the park. So there's no benefit to you buying it early. And then now that you have, you've chosen not to do that, you can make the choice when you get here, and you can see it's a 5-minute wait for Incredicoaster. Why on earth would you want to, pay $35 or whatever it is per person when you can get a 5-minute wait? We gotta hurry. I have to get to Incredicoaster ASAP, because I just can't believe it's a 5-minute wait. And if it is, we might have to ride. The horror, right? Oh no, we gotta ride Incredicoaster. And we also cannot use the argument that it's coming off a closure, because Incredicoaster is one of those attractions where standby gets worse after a closure. That's why when you see waits of an hour, 90 minutes at Incredicoaster, it's because it was closed. They had a breakdown, and everybody rushed there to get there, to use their Lightning Lanes, etc. That's the reason why it has a long line. This is a little, oh man, look at that. I don't know if that's 5 minutes or not, but that's a breeze. They're using half. Man, this is some kind of call to action right now. They're using half of that section, the switchbacks, and they're not even going around these last two switchbacks. They're sending them straight up from there. Oh my God, I gotta see what that's like. We're definitely doing this. Bonus ride time here at State of DCA. That's why I love doing reports on slow days, because it forces me to go on rides. Bonus ride on Incredicoaster today. Getting into this queue, it is posted 5 still. Getting in the queue at 1:29. The clock is ticking. Hi guys. Hi. What's up, guys? How goes it? Yeah, sure. Give me 1 second. After I finish taking this queue where it goes, we'll stop and take a photo with these guys right here. I mean, we're just, hey guys, all right. We obviously have not stopped stopped moving. We're at 45 seconds right now. And I would not be surprised if we do get all the way to the vehicle in 5 minutes. We're still waiting. Oh, there, we found the back of the queue right here. And remember, they're not using that far section back there. We're just gonna come around this corner, loop back in towards the stairs, and that'll be it. So not 5 minutes anymore. We're at 4:50. But we still got the stairs, like a left turn, get over here. So it's probably gonna be closer to 10. Did check theme park IQ, and there's no breakdowns. It's been up all day, no breakdowns today. The average wait time, let me see, is 8 minutes today. That is the average for the day. So this is not a new development. It's been like this all day. There's a few peaks. The highest point on this graph is 15 minutes. It's never been busier than 15 minutes in the 5.5 hours that the park has been open today. Incredible at Incredicoaster.
And keep an eye on your little ones.
That is just over 11 minutes to get to the vehicle, but that's after asking to wait for the front seat, which added about 2.5, hey guys, added about 2.5 minutes to our wait. We would have been here at about 8 minutes, 30 seconds if I had just gone for the next seat.
Keep your eye on Jack. No problem, darling.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh God! Oh my God, oh my God. Oh. Holy crap.
For a time, the servers were outlawed, considered too dangerous and banned from using their powers.
It looks like it is now a 10-minute wait, so I guess people are showing up. That it was a call to action at 5 minutes for sure, although I mean, maybe not, I don't know. It's still just 10. You would think it would be 30 by now if you saw that. But as I was looking at the queue, you know what, let's go take a look. It's possible that queue is shorter than the one we just got into, because the back of the queue we found, oh, they've rerouted it. They're going back there now. They are going on the far one. But we stopped right there at Dash, came back around, looped, and then went to the stairs after that. Now they're sending them there, so it's probably about the same. Maybe 10 minutes. Yeah. It's still dead. I was expecting. I was here Friday. It was a little bit busier on the last Friday than it was the 2 Fridays before that when I was doing construction. I thought, okay, maybe we've overcome that. But here at DCA, still very, very dead. By the way, before we segue into Midway Mania, did you guys hear? There was a joke a bit at the end while we were stuck at the very end and waiting for us to go into the station, and they were kind of cycling through the whole loop, the whole Incredicoaster or Incredible Family loop. There was a bit at the end there. Did you guys catch that? It's kind of I'm surprised that they put that bit in there. You guys, go back and tell me if you can figure out what that surprising bit is, the joke that they did with Mr. and Mrs. Incredible, Jack. I have never heard that before. Okay, 35 minutes at Toy Story Midway Mania, which is light. It was at 45 when we were checking the tip board earlier, about a half an hour ago. And yeah, man, they're going right in. There's just one little switch back there to go into the house or into the covered area. That is 16 minutes inside, 5 minutes out there, 5, maybe 7 minutes to get to the house from there. So we'll call it 5, 10, 16, 26 minutes. Solve Toy Story for you. 26 minutes. It's really what I want to know is how much is it on top of waiting in the full covered part. We know the math on that. It's basically once you get to the door of that covered spot, once you get to that door, it's just over 22 minutes, somewhere in that range. From there to the house, 22 minutes. And then you just have to figure out how much this is and add that on to that 22 minutes. Park science, baby. Fresh baked. That's probably the quickest we've ever gone through Toy Story. And we're on now at Pixar Pal around 20 and 10 that are calling it here, for 20 for swinging and 10 for non-swinging. That's probably not even 20. That's probably 15 or so. That could be 10. This is slow. Going on the non-swinging side is excruciating sometimes, and I would know. I go on this thing once a week, every week, for the past couple of months and probably into the future for years and years, because this is where I'll be watching. It's where I am watching Avengers Infinity Defense construction, and I will be watching Disneyland Forward construction facing the opposite direction over there in the Simba parking lot. So just as soon as they're done with this, I may even be able to see, I don't know, I'll have to take a look. I may even be able to see into Hollywood Backlot. That'd be cool. Although hopefully, as I mentioned before, we're gonna be able to see things from the monorail. We are, though, at the site for the 4th attraction that is on the near future calendar for Disney to build. And that, we gotta go back this way, right behind the Pixar Promenade here. There's a little bit of space on the other side of this building, over that, and on the other side of the track there for Incredicoaster, there's a little bit of space where you can build a modest size, a medium-sized dark ride. And that's actually next for Disney. That's ahead of Avatar. Obviously, they're not supposed to start demo on Monsters, Inc. in Hollywoodland until probably mid to early 2026. The attraction is going to close in early 2026, and it's going to take a little while for the demo to start happening. But they have said that construction will begin on Coco by the end of the year, before the end of the year, which is amazing. So we've been watching, we've been going on the Pixar Pal around and just looking to see any kind of signs of that. If you don't already know, we do a construction report every Monday. And every Monday or every Friday, I get in one of those, well, the non-swinging ones right there, I get in one of those and I look and I can get a view of what's happening from up there backstage this way. And I'm watching to see if there's any signs of, hey guys, how are you? Thank you guys, thank you. I'm watching to see if there's any movement back there. You can see the beginnings when they start taking stuff out. And then, slowly the vehicles come out and all the other backstage equipment. And then they'll start moving the portables out of there and then start digging up the concrete and building foundation. But that's supposed to all begin by the end of this year. That's 4 attractions that are in progress. There's a calendar for those to be developed here at DCA, and that is separate. None of that is included in Disneyland Forward. Disneyland Forward is a whole nother thing that's happening actually on the other side of this attraction. You go outside past those trees out there, across the street, Disneyland Drive, and into the Simba parking lot. They're gonna build a bunch more DCA over there. That's very long term, but I mentioned in a construction update a while back that I've heard that small whispers, nothing that I've been able to verify yet, that they may start demoing that lot, the Simba lot, as early as next year, summer of next year. And then that would kick off. They have to do that though, they have to be working on, we'll know if they're gonna, they'll have to start working on the Eastern Gateway, which is another parking lot over there on the other side off Harbor Boulevard, where they're going to be building a new parking structure. They have to start that first. That's sort of the first domino. But that'll be a clue. When we start seeing them working on that parking structure, then we know they're also going to start working on Disneyland Forward. But they have to build that parking structure first so they can displace the cars they're going to be parking over at the downtown Disney parking lot and the cast member parking lot. Emotional Whirlwind is where we are now. 5-minute wait. And there's nobody in the queue right now. There's 5 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 people up there. And then these 4 guests that are just coming in, those 2, and then me. I would be 8th in line right now. That is an absolute joke. If I got in this queue right now, I don't care how dead it is. I don't care how dead it is. At this time of day, it is the middle of the day. It is literally 2 o'clock, 1:57. I would be the 8th person in the queue at Emotional Whirlwind. So, wow. Any better at Silly Symphony? Nope. I can see the back of the queue right there. It's a little busier than Emotional Whirlwind is, but it's a walk-in also or walk-on. You can go up those stairs and you'll be, right now, if you get in that queue, you'll be on the very next set of swings at Silly Symphony. All you have to do is wait for this swing to finish and you're in. Wow.
You guys gonna go to the exit, please. Go to the exit.
Okay, I was trying to go through the entrance. I'm gonna expect no waiting here
You got it.
at Boardwalk Pizza and Pasta. I'll bet you they have a, I don't know what they call the code, a spill at the entrance. No waiting for pizza, no waiting, or for pasta. No waiting for pizza. No waiting for salad. Absolutely dead in here. At 2 o'clock, no waiting here at Paradise Garden Grill, literally. The only wait you could place an order right now. If you watched our construction report this week, you'll know that they took down the walls finally here. They've opened up the space again. The net is installed and ready for use. I don't hear Goofy Sky School though. I hear total silence from Goofy Sky School, no guests. So we'll go confirm that. Confirm. Goofy Sky School is closed. No waiting, there's nobody in the queue. Oh my gosh. There's nobody in the queue right now for Jumpin' Jellyfish. There should be guests there. Okay, there's your first guest right there. Those four. If you're walking in right now, if you're walking to Jellyfish, you're gonna get on the next jelly. Does this or does this not surprise you? Even in the 104-degree temperatures last week, or last year, I'd be willing to bet we saw longer wait times. Am I gonna have to do that same thing again like I did last week for State of Disneyland? Am I gonna have to compare? Maybe, we'll see. We'll see. But this is really, really incredible how light it is. This may be deader than it was last year when it was 104 degrees. And we have no excuses, no, the school's the same. The heat is better, the weather's better than it was last year. The whole Labor Day argument is not a thing anymore. You can't make that comparison. It is, the circumstances today are exactly as they were a year ago. There's the back of Mermaid. This should be a popular attraction right now. Nice, comfy, cozy trip through the sea. It's air conditioned. You get to sit. This should be very popular right now. And that's a 10-minute wait. And that's exactly what they're calling it on the posted wait time, 10 minutes. Let's finish off our adventure here at Grizzly Peak. That might be the most brisk trip through Pixar Pier that I've ever taken during a State of DCA report. Everything was, we even went on a ride. You know what I mean? I've never, we just zoomed right through Toy Story. We zoomed right through Incredicoaster. Sort of. Goofy Sky School is closed, and obviously all the other small attractions, the flat rides, those were, walk-ons completely. Nothing happening. Even Little Mermaid, 10 minutes, if that. Which leaves us Grizzly, which, it's running. I hadn't seen a raft for a minute, but there's one coming. We'll check in on that in a minute, but I'm gonna expect like a 30-minute wait there. But we're gonna take a quiet walk through Redwood Creek, as is our custom. You recall, in previous weeks, no water has been running at Redwood Creek. However, in our last construction update, I got a peek. They were closed when I was there, but I could see through the trees and stuff that the water was running. I'm hoping that's the case today. And I think I can hear it. You can hear the waterfall from the entrance practically. I heard it from the walkway over there in Grizzly Peak. And you could probably hear it now, along with that chill redwood music. There it is. Yay! I'm so happy. I am so happy. Yay! Oh, I love it. It's not Redwood Ditch anymore. I can call it Redwood Creek again. That's terrific. Guests can once more play a game of, it's poo sticks, but they'll call it redwood sticks, I'm sure. Get a stick, or sometimes they use actual rubber ducks, drop it in the river, and have a race to see which one gets to the end first. I've done it. Incredibly fun. It's incredibly fun. And it's something that cast members will sometimes, they'll sponsor it. They're the ones who set it up. They recruit guests to come and enjoy. They'll give them little ducks or something like that you could easily race, and they'll do it. It's so much fun. That's what I love about small things like that. Not everything has to be an e-ticket. I love those small little things you can do, bring you back to just having basic, analog fun. Analog is very underrated in my retirement. I talk about that whenever I come to Redwood, don't I? My retirement. In my retirement, I'm going to yearn for more analog experiences. Walking through a redwood forest would be quite analog. Liz and I are actually planning a trip. We're going to be going to Yosemite, I think. We're going to spend a couple days in Flagstaff, Arizona to enjoy some snow in Flagstaff. And then from there, we're going to go to Grand Canyon, do a little Griswold, and then head back home. Really looking forward to that. I have not seen that kind of nature. Well, actually we did. We saw nature. We went up to Big Bear a couple months ago and a couple months before that. Although we didn't do a lot of nature stuff, but we did go to that one place in Big Bear, the Christmas Village kind of place, where they have trails that walk through the forest. It was that was incredible. Actually, I enjoyed that a lot. Let's connect Fresh Baked. Put your phones down, put all your digital devices, and go analog. Seems like there's not a lot of rafts right now. I'm seeing a lot of gaps, although there's a batch there coming. But there's nothing in the water from there all the way to the lift hill. But here they come. Boy, those guys are gonna have a good time. Look how nice and refreshing that water looks too. It would be a pleasure right now to be getting hit by some of that water. And the geysers were turned off for a little bit, for a week or two. So hopefully when we get over there, we'll be able to see the geysers back in full action. I would be quite happy if I were in a Grizzly River Run raft right now, getting hit by one. That's where the splashes are. The splashes when you do the drops, they're like, sometimes you don't even get wet. Actually, I'm more afraid of the water that comes over the side when the boat starts, going like so, and the water comes over those gaps. Because don't sit, if you don't want to get wet, there's a tip for you. Don't sit next to a gap. There's 3 seats, right? And the first and third seat will be next to a gap, but that middle seat, sit in that seat and you won't get that that over the gap water. You might get some that goes over your shoulders, but that's pretty rare. And again, they're expecting a queue here. Oh my God, we may not even see, it may not even go to the office. It's not. Look at that. It is 87 degrees out right now. And we have been here on many different types of days where the office is always full. Ever since basically spring, the office has been full, right? That's what I call this space right here. I don't know why, I just do. It's called the office. I imagine the park ranger working here or something, right? So this has always been full. Today, it's 87 degrees out, so it's definitely hot enough. And it's still dead. That is incredible. I can't believe it. Absolute perfection, right? This place is absolute perfection. There are days when I just can't shut up about it. I just want to scream from the rooftops, scream from the top of Grizzly Peak. Grizzly River Run is absolute perfection. Let's check out those geysers. I don't look like they're working. I was told they were working, but there's no geyser action here. I think we were here 2 weeks ago, we saw no geysers. And I still see no geysers, which is a bit of a disappointment because that would be awesome. Getting hit by one of those on a hot day like today. I am very, very hot and sweaty today. That would be great. But these guys are just having a nice, leisurely stroll. Hi guys. Hi guys. Sorry, no geysers. I'm so sorry. They lowered the water. Same thing at, I forget where it was, but they lowered the water. Maybe I'm thinking of Redwood Creek. They lowered it. The water's not as high as it used to be. That's why you don't get as wet on the drops as you might have in the past. That's why the geysers now are the big splash area. Do you guys remember when they had that at Tiana's? They raised the water a bunch. They had it super full when it first reopened, and people were, they don't talk about that anymore because I think that they did lower the water there a little bit too, so it's not quite as splashy. I can't remember the last time I got wet, but then again, I always sit in the very back to avoid getting soaked. But if you're sitting in the front, you're still going to get wet at Tiana's. Pluto! Yay!
Hi, sweater.
We saw a 15-minute wait at Soarin' when we were checking the tip board. I mean, I see people in the streets. This is kind of the weird thing. It's kind of busy-ish in the streets, but just not in the queues, which is probably good. I think I would rather have that than the opposite, like when you go to Six Flags, right? The streets are empty, but the queues are an hour and a half. Knott's Berry Farm is like that. I would much rather have this than that. It says 65 now, so people are showing up. It could be that they lost a theater. Matter of fact, I'm almost positive they lost a theater, because look at this queue. That's not an hour queue. That's just 2 switchbacks. There's no way. There's no way, so they must have lost a theater. You always know that. If you look at if this defies logic, you see that queue and compared to that, you know that they're down. So you just go do something else. Keep an eye on the tip board. Trust me, it can't get worse than that. Not on a day like this. It's not going to get worse. Go do something else. Go try Monsters. Go try not Radiator Springs today. Go try Mission Breakout. Go try literally anything else. Check the tip board every 15 minutes or so. And even if you're not right on top of things, you're still going to have half the wait. When they bring that second theater up, you'll see it. It'll go from 65 to 30 or 35. It'll happen just like that, and then you're free to go. All right, well, I guess it was pretty dead today after all. I thought we might get a busier day today, but we did not. It was not a busier day today. Next time, end of September. Stay tuned. Otherwise, thanks for watching, everybody. We love you. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. Fresh baked.